So with a recent post that I made, I shared a possible extraction path of an N alkaloid salt. And I didn't share it initially since I'm not even sure if it'll work for plant material directly. I got a donation from One Atom, so thanks to his repeated support, I'll be buying some root bark so that I can test it on the live plant material or the dry plant material. But in any case, I decided to just share it since maybe someone else has a better solution. The technique that I'm attempting will be using only ethanol 96 from grain, it's food safe, and water. And for the alkalinizing agent, you can use lye, which you may or may not consider food safe. You can use sodium carbonate, you can use calcium hydroxide. It's your choice. I use lye in this example. And the main idea behind this is the freebase alkaloid salt is extremely soluble in ethanol. So you would freebase the bark material with lye with minimal amount of water. You can let it dry for a few days. It doesn't need to be completely dry. You would then add for every supposed, let's say 10 milligrams of expected yield, you would add 1 milliliter of ethanol. So let's say you expect from 100 grams bark, you would expect maybe 1% yield, so you would get 1 gram. So you would add to your lye solution of bark, you would add, 100 milliliters of ethanol. And that is near the saturation point, but it'll be low enough that you won't leave behind too much of the alkaloid. So you leave it soaking in the ethanol for, let's say, a day, and you collect the ethanol. You can save the bark for later, and that ethanol will have the freebase. And this is a new concept for me. I didn't even know there was an actual term for it. It's called reverse salting, I guess, or an anti-solvent crystallization. The idea is completely new to me, and after researching, I only found that term after a while of researching the idea behind this property. This idea originally came to me when I was helping out another subscriber. He needed suggestions on an extraction, and we couldn't find any direct technique for it. So after some research, I found that DCM was a very good solvent for it. And when it was hot DCMO, when it was hot DMSO, hot DMSO could dissolve 100 milligrams of his compound. So that's what I suggested to him. And I didn't know that DMSO was such a headache to evaporate or to remove from the product. And we kept going back and forth for a while on how to fix that. And after a while, I saw you can just add ethanol or ethyl acetate or just water, and it would reduce the solubility of the compound in the DMSO. Since they are miscible, or they mix, like the water and the DMSO, they mix together, and in my mind that wouldn't work, but you're actually reducing the solubility. And in the end, it worked out well for him. And despite the headache that I put him through, he seemed pretty satisfied with the result. But yeah, with that experience that I got from just helping him out with my suggestions, I started thinking about the different other compounds that we try to extract and the different solubilities that the different solvents have. And with the NN salts and root bark, the solubility in water for the free base is fairly low, and the solubility in ethanol is fairly high. And when you have your near saturated or very concentrated ethylene solution with the free base salt, you would in theory just add water to the ethanol. And after more research, I found that with a salt brine in the ethanol at a 50-50 ratio, the solubility from 20 milligrams per milliliter with ethanol, it'll drop to 0.5 milligrams to milliliter. So let's assume in our theoretical extraction we used 100 milliliters of ethanol, right? So for that, you would add 100 milliliters of a salt brine, and it'll cause the solubility of the free base to drop, and it'll precipitate out of solution. Originally I did this, and that's the photo I shared. However, there's an issue after you filter it off. It forms a goo, and that's due to the polyform and all this other stuff that I don't quite understand exactly. But after more research, I found out the term, the anti-solvent, and depending on when you're developing a new drug compound for the market, they do this to find all of the polymorph types for that crystal. And you generally use this technique to make micro and nano crystals, which is not what I want. But through their research papers, I found if I added the anti-solvent, which in this case is a salt brine, very slowly, it'll cause larger crystals to form. So that's my following attempt. I'll be doing the same process, but instead of just dumping in the 50-50 water ratio, I'll be slowly adding it into the ethylene solution, ethanol solution. And yeah, with that anti-solvent process, I also have an idea for mescaline, where you also extract with ethanol, and the anti-solvent would be heptane. Since they're both gonna mix, I think just the ratio will be a bit different with the heptane. I think it needs to be around 70-30 for it to work properly. But that'll be a following attempt in the future. If you have any suggestions on how to get an anti-solvent precipitation to crystallize larger crystals, open to suggestions. It's still a very, very new field to me. I only recently found out the actual term for it. So I'm doing a bit of research and reading, and if it works out, it'll be interesting, since some people have concerns with the non-polar solvents being trapped in the crystals that they have. Most people don't seem to even care, but if you do a gas chromatography on the crystal, there will always be some heptane or hexane or naphtha or whatever solvent you used. And if you were to do a completely food safe extraction, you won't have that problem.